Time for business, and we cross to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Business editor Stephen Carroll standing by. Stephen, many world leaders staying away, but we did have Brazil's president, Bolsonaro, and the U.S. Secretary of State. What did they have to say?
Well, President Bolsonaro was making a very strong sales pitch for Brazil in his speech, promising tax cuts, less state interference and fostering business development, something that those in the audience here at Davos, those 1,000-odd business leaders, looking forward to hearing that sort of thing from the Brazilian leader. Mr. Bolsonaro said that he represented a turning point in Brazil and its relationship with business. Of course, there was a lot of attention being paid to if he would say anything on the environmental issues in Brazil. He said that agribusiness was a very important industry, and he said that there was a need to balance sustainability with the importance of that industry. Those comments already provoking strong reaction from environmental NGOs, Greenpeace among those, saying that those comments really are very concerning. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo appearing via video link from Washington. He and the rest of the US delegation had their trip to Davos cancelled because of the ongoing shutdown in the United States. He used his speech from Washington to lash out at China, its state-centred economy, its belligerence towards its neighbours, and what Mike Pompeo said was an embrace of totalitarianism at home. So strong words there for the Chinese. That's, of course, as there's continuing trade tensions between the United States and China. Mike Pompeo saying, though, that he hopes they could foster a better relationship.
Stephen, my ears are still ringing from your reporting of 24 hours ago on the slowing of the world economy. I'm looking at the numbers for the Dow Jones, Wall Street down 290 points as we speak. Is that to do with that slowing world economy?
Look, it's an overall investor concern about what's going to be happening with the world economy in 2019. It's one of the big subjects that's echoing around the corridors of Davos as well. I've been speaking to Nariman Behravesh. He's the chief economist at IHS Markit. It's difficult to find somebody in Davos who tell you that 2019 is going to be a bad year. Let's take a listen to what Nariman's take on was the outlook for the world economy in 2019.
Just about every country in the world is slowing down. But we don't think there's going to be a recession in 2019, either in the U.S. or the world economy, or Europe. I know there's a lot of concerns about Europe going into recession. I think that's a low probability kind of event.
When you look at the U.S. shutdown, we're heading into a very long period of it now. What sort of effect is that going to have on the American economy?
If the shutdown ends by, say, the end of January, the end of this month, then I think it will reduce U.S. growth in the first quarter by 1/10 or 2. But if then it extends through February or longer even, then the effects could be quite large.
The Chinese economy, the slowest growth since 1990. Is that a big concern going forward?
To some extent it is, but we've been expecting the Chinese economy to slow down for some time. We're saying 6.3% growth in 2019. Some of it's deliberate. The government wants to squeeze leverage, debt out of the economy, wants to reduce the impact of the shadow banks. So some of it is deliberate, but then some of it is also the effect of the U.S. tariffs on China's exports.
And your biggest concern looking at 2019, what are you most worried about?
My biggest worry is a policy mistake of some kind, and in particular a trade policy mistake. If the U.S. and China allow this trade spat to turn into a full-blown trade war, then I think that could be a serious problem both for the U.S. and China, and that could be a recession scenario.
Now, inclusivity is the key word that we're hearing a lot in Davos this year, the idea to reach out, globalisation to benefit more people around the world. One of the other big themes is how workers are adapting to new technology. I've been speaking to Christy Hoffman about this. She's the Secretary-General of the Global Union. She says that she's not sure the message is being heard in Davos, but here's her take on the subject.
Where we've got strong unions able to negotiate solutions, we see much better and usually positive outcomes. Many of our unions welcome new technology. It takes away some of the more onerous, unhealthy, unsafe kinds of work. We represent care workers who welcome the idea that you can now have a robot that you slip into your body to help you lift patients so you don't injure your back, for example. So it's not all a grim future. It's really a question of doing it together with workers having a voice in the implementation rather than imposing it.
Francois, that coming as the World Economic Forum warning that the United States alone will have to spend $34 billion upskilling the workers who could have their jobs replaced by technology.
All right, food for thought there. Many thanks. Stephen Carroll will be checking in with you throughout the World Economic Forum in Davos.